Zigbee is a wireless personal area network protocol with low processing and low power devices. It also has a low data rate and it is less expensive than Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Zigbee is suitable for infrequent data transmission at a low data rate within small areas such as buildings, so it is good for industrial usage. It also uses ISM, Industrial, Scientific and Medical Frequency Band, and has a data rate about 250 kilobits per second. Most of the microcontrollers do support Zigbee chips, radios when you attach additional shields. Operating range is about 35 feet with maximum number of devices about 25,000, which works pretty well for smart home or smart industrial domains, including buildings. Zigbee has 3 different nodes which operates in 3 different ways. You have Zigbee coordinator, Zigbee router, and Zigbee end device when it comes to the Zigbee network. The most simplest node is the Zigbee end device, which has a basic functionality to talk to the parent node. It cannot relay any data. It will sleep most of the time to save the battery, and it will be sending data to the parent node as instructed. Memory requirement and the cost is quite low compared to the Zigbee router and the Zigbee coordinator. Zigbee router is a little bit more complicated. It has the functionality of extending the network. It has the capability to run applications and relaying information between nodes connected to it. It's more like performing the functionality of a repeater. It can bridge the gap between Zigbee client and a Zigbee coordinator when they are located far from each other. Zigbee coordinator is more like the master node. It coordinates the entire network and the clients and when to communicate. Each Zigbee coordinator can connect up to 8 Zigbee devices, including a combination of end devices as well as routers. Coordinator typically becomes the root of the network tree, can also act as the bridge between different networks. There's a single Zigbee coordinator for each network. Coordinator also store the information about the network under itself as well as outside, so it knows where to forward the data. It can act as a trust center and a repository for security keys. Zigbee can operate in either of the 3 topologies, star, tree, or mesh. Zigbee commonly use mesh networks because it increases the reliability, and it also provides the ability to deploy network across a large area. And it also have the self-configuring and self-healing ability, because if a particular node gets disappeared, then the other nodes can find a different path to reach to the coordinator. These figures illustrate how these topologies can be made out of Zigbee coordinator, routers, and Zigbee devices. This is the layered architecture for Zigbee protocol. The lower 2 layers, physical layer and the MAC layer, is defined by IEEE 802.15.4, while the upper layers are the network layer and the application layer. Therefore, the bottom 2 layers do not have much specific content related to Zigbee. They basically do the data packet translation and transmission. Network layer in turn act as an interface between the MAC layer and the application layer. It uses a mesh networking to connect to the devices, and it is responsible for encrypting data by providing a secure transmission. The application layer is the user interface layer, and they consist of APS and ZDO. So basically, they are the components of application support sublayer and the Zigbee device object. APS is responsible for discovering and binding objects and services. The ZDO manages the over-the-air management of the network. In Zigbee data transmission, there is an application on each Zigbee device which uses a profile for handling the messages. So the profile is responsible for the interoperability of the devices from different manufacturers, such as controlling home light or switching on and off wireless security systems or sound systems. So there are three types of application profiles: public, private, and manufacturers, which are identified by 16-bit number known as application profile identification number. So Zigbee Alliances manages the public profiles such as home automation. Private profiles have restricted usage and defined by Zigbee vendors. If they are then published by their owners, they become manufacturer profiles. There are different Zigbee protocols or versions: Zigbee Pro, Zigbee Remote Control, Zigbee 3.0. Each of these protocols have slightly different capabilities. The concept of Zigbee application profiles are really important because they are the one who provide the interoperability for a given network, because that is the one that defines how they would describe and how they should communicate with each other. As I said earlier, Zigbee public profiles are maintained by the Zigbee Alliance. So in this table, I have listed some of the common public profiles. Are predefined profiles that are dedicated for different tasks like commercial building automation, telecom, personal home, and hospital care. Each of these profiles defines the required functionalities of each device type. For example, related to smart energy, a load controller must respond to a defined command to turn the load on and off. If your device is a home automation device, then you should provide certain functionalities. You need to compatible with their predefined commands, so the other device know how to communicate with your device. Here I want to quickly show you Zigbee home automation profiles. So within the home automation profile, these are the common types of devices they have defined. So if you are developing one of these devices, then you need to go to this each predefined profile here and then implement those functionalities in a standard way. This is the documentation related to Zigbee home automation public profile. This may be slightly outdated, but you can get an idea that when you browse through each device, you have the device, and then it will explain what kind of functionalities need to be implemented: on, off, dimmable, color slide, and when you go each one, it will tell you what is need to be mandatory and what need to be optional. So this is how they support interoperability. So then when another manufacturer develop a different type of device, then they can talk to each other because the profiles are same. So that is why there are public profiles. But if you are a private manufacturer, you can have your own profiles as well. It is better if you publish them publicly, so then it becomes from private to a manufacturer profile. So then the other manufacturers can also look at your manufacturer profile and then try to do something to make them align with each other. Even though Zigbee is a very useful protocol, it is not widely supported in off-the-shelf IoT hardware. So most of the time, if you are using Zigbee devices, you will be forced to use a smart home hub, which will do the communication between the devices. One of the key reasons is that the mobile phones we have today are not Zigbee compatible. Therefore, it is difficult to for a Zigbee device directly to communicate with the smartphone. So that is why we will end up with using some kind of a gateway to do the translation. So to better understand how the Zigbee work, please go and watch the video I have put here. Zigbee protocol is quite well used in building automation systems, remote controls, smart energy for home energy monitoring, healthcare for medical and fitness monitoring, home automation for control of smart homes. I already showed you some of the documentation related to that. A lot of light links to LED control systems, telecom services. Additionally, they are also used in industrial control systems or manufacturing settings to communicate between different equipment.